fine. I am continually trying to remind myself of how blessed we are to, instrument our business. We could just, yes, we closed out on a Friday and Monday everybody was working from home. So that's a blessing. And, so definitely hasn't been easy, but the ability that we're keeping our jobs, we're not going to do any layoffs. We're hunkering down. While some businesses fell off, other businesses picked up. And so we've been just really fortunate. And then personally, I have 3 kids, so it's
You
my
do? Oh, you're
yes,
oh,
9,
God.
2 boys and a girl,
How old are they?
9, 6, and 3.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
wow.
you can't leave them alone for too long, or they'll either be hurt or your house destroyed. Um, and so it's my mom is here. My husband still goes back and forth, and he came for the first couple of weeks when everything was kind of shut down, but he's back in Georgia now, and so it's me and my mom holding it
Oh,
down. And
Georgia.
yeah, so a lot of my mom is helping out during the day when I have calls and helping to keep them on track with their schoolwork. And then some afternoons I'll kind of take a break from work and just go spend time with them. We planted a garden last weekend, so they're all excited about planting gardens and watching plants grow and watering. I'm just like, whatever we can do to keep them busy and occupied. We try to take walks every day or every other day in the afternoon, and just kind of get out and move around. So we've been fine. I only go out to do grocery store runs because they eat everything. So just like food disappears. It's really funny how much they eat. But yeah, we've been fine. We've been fortunate. I can't say nobody. My sister and my sister-in-law, they both live in New York, both got the virus. Um, but they both recovered. My sister had a mild case. And so it was just a couple of days of not feeling well. My sister-in-law is an EMT, so that was a week to 2 week recovery for her. And then also she lives with my mother-in-law, who is, disabled and immunocompromised. So we were all just worried about then my mother-in-law getting it, but she's been okay. So, outside of that family, for the most part, we haven't had any deaths in the family, thankfully. Our family spread out between the South,
No,
Tennessee.
and Georgia's being hit hard too, so you guys have been able to avoid that.
So far, yeah. We have a lot of cousins and aunts, and I think all of the, younger generation, all of their jobs were, fortunately, I think they are able to work from home. They all have kids, so when they shut down the schools, they had to
Oh,
figure
wow.
out support that way.
Hold on just a
Um,
minute, Jess. And this is
no,
John. I
go
want to
ahead.
get him
Go
on
ahead.
I sent you a link. Hello? It's an email to the Zoom. There's you, Jessica, and JD on it. Do you know what? Yeah. Hold on a minute. Let me make sure. Just a minute, Jess. Sent. Join me in the Zoom. Yeah, you're on it at 12:53. I don't see you popping up yet. Did you click on the link? Oh, yeah, here you're popping up. Hold on. There you go. All right, JW. Oh my God. So Jessica, do you know where JD is?
I am texting him now.
Okay.
To see
Well, I'm
where
sure
he
he'll
is.
get here. But Jessica was just telling me how, because John has family in New Jersey and stuff, and his sister had gotten it. And Jessica was just talking about how she had a sister and a
Sister and sister-in-law, yeah.
both got it.
In Georgia? In Georgia?
No, in New York. So a lot of my my husband's family is all in New York, and then my sister lives in New York. She works in New York, and my husband's sister and mom still live in New York. Actually, a big chunk of his family still lives in New York. But yeah, we've had some family members get it. But I was telling Fawn that um, for the most part, hasn't had to be hospitalized, been suffering at home and are on the other side of it. So that's been a blessing. Interestingly enough, my husband's oldest brother, we did a family Zoom call on Sunday, and it was supposed to be for the kids, but after 20 minutes, the kids are like, "This is boring," and they go off and play. And so the adults just sat around and talked, and my brother-in-law and also my husband's cousin and his wife joined. They both talked about getting sick at the end of January. And they do a lot of traveling and whatever. And they talked about both having gotten like really sick for about 2 weeks. A lot of the symptoms of COVID, but people weren't being diagnosed. Like nobody was talking about it then. And they were like, we think we had the virus even at the end of January, which was just crazy, right? Because they're like, at the end of January, who's catching the flu? And they were talking about all the symptoms, and it's just amazing. Like we've been saying, like how many people have had it before everything shut down in March, or how many people died already that we didn't even know were dying because of this.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
So go ahead, John.
no, I just don't trust it. I don't, I just don't trust the people driving the damn boat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily believe they're being forthright with us, Jessica. I really don't. I think that there's just too many mitigating things that demonstrate that there's a loss of control somewhere in this deal. And somehow or another it got out of hand. It got away from us. What's going on, big fella? What's happening, Jump Buzz Hog? So all y'all quarantined.
We all in separate places.
Yeah, what's going on, big guy? So
How
I
y'all
don't
doing?
know. We doing great, Hodge. How about yourself, buddy? You
Doing all right. Doing all right.
Good. We were just talking about some of this stuff. Like she was saying, some of her family members had caught it. My sister, she's in quarantine right now with it back in Cambridge.
Mm-hmm.
Just stuff. But the things that really bother me most about this is the people that are being hurt on the periphery of this thing. Like my daughter called me up yesterday, and I've been out of sorts ever since I heard her say this to me. Is that her graduation got canceled, a high school graduation. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know about y'all that have kids, if you ever had kids, but to hear that coming from my daughter, man, God, just ate me up inside for her. Because every one of us had an opportunity to do this dance, and here she has to come into 2020 of her life and can't seem to walk and have the value of the paper and the experience and all of that.
Yeah.
Not right.
Moment.
Not right. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone is. Well, every day I'm hearing, someone else touched in a different way by it, and it's things that you don't even think about, but everyone is affected by it in some way or another, and obviously.
Yeah.
So breaking up, JD.
You froze. You're frozen.
Sometimes you have to see if other people are moving to make sure it's not your video breaking up.
But this is what y'all do for a living, though.
Okay, but we can't control how people's home setups are, John. I'm telling you, it's really interesting to see, right? Like, I mean, even I'll do calls with people that work at like Dell or Microsoft or Oracle or whatever, and their stuff is janky too, because it's just like where you live.
Well, right. It's like the cell towers are so like in demand right now. 2 days ago, my phone couldn't get nothing.
Yeah.
I was like, everybody, because for the longest time I had like Cricket, and everybody was always like making fun of me. So then I upgraded to the iPhone and Apple and Sprint, and
It's the network is overworked. Well, and see,
Yeah,
I'm at
I
home.
got it.
I'm at home with 3 kids and my mom, everybody on Netflix and tablets and playing games. And then I'm up here trying to, make sure we can keep the lights on and still pay for the electricity that y'all use. So it's real.
And it's funny because you say that because Comcast came in and robbed me. I don't know if you got Comcast, but they something else. I'm gonna tell you.
We have, is that Xfinity?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
It is Xfinity. Yeah, I always forget. Yeah, we have Xfinity. Yeah. The only reason we kept it is because we have it in Georgia, and so they gave us a discount to like add a new service or something like that. But it sucks. I mean,
I got every one of these services, right? And they called me up the other day, told me that it was the next day, the next billing came out, right? And I thought that I talked to them before that, and I said, hey, well, y'all need me to pay you. Well, no, your bill ain't there. But when they get there, but we're not interrupting people's services or anything like that. You just pay us. You got about a window. So I go, so the next day, my bill came, the second bill came due. It was $600 too. Them people came and shut the damn TV off, right? So I called them, and I didn't know what was going on. I wake up, boy, the TV off, right?
yeah.
So I figured that's with everything. So I called them, I said, I thought y'all said y'all ain't interrupting nothing. If you need me to pay you, I would have paid you a long time ago, right? They had the nerve to tell me, oh, but we didn't interrupt your services. You have all of your cable, not your cable, you just don't have your cable, but you got all your other services. You got your security, your home security, you got your cell phones, you got all of that stuff. You didn't interrupt nothing, but we just interrupted your TV. And I said, man, what do you think I'm gonna be doing all day? Just playing on this internet? I said, and then they went back, turn my TV back on. Usually, if you get a bill that high, you can go, could I pay it in 2 payments or something? They say, yeah, you can do that. So I said, well, could I pay it in a couple payments? They said, no, we don't do that no more. I said, but you buying this on the street? So I said, you need to tell me I got to give you $600 for my cable TV. Can I just pay you for the TV?
Listen, John, there's plenty of TV that you can watch for free online, my brother. If you need some links, you let me know.
He doesn't like that. He doesn't like that.
I know, but it's better than paying a $600 bill right now, and you just basically say, screw y'all wait. I'm telling you.
Exactly, but I told them the minute this virus is over, y'all get this money. I'm gonna give you this money, but I know who my friends is and who they ain't in the times. So I said, and I got every service y'all provide. But let me tell you something. Direct gonna get my business directly after this virus.
No, that's right.
So, but anyway, what we on this telephone call doing here, other than saying?
Well, I was kind of waiting for JD to come back on, but let's just move forward.
Let me see what happened. He said internet outage, be back in a moment.
Okay.
Okay, well, you can speak to that, and I can come back to JD on this, to Jessica. But why don't you just just share with us kind of your role at Instrument and how you came to Instrument and to Portland and your role.
Oh, this is perfect because I'm not usually, GQ every day.
I was gonna say, I'm like, well, you do good for working from home.
I did a webinar this morning, a panel of women for anitabees.org, which is a women's technology, women and young girls trying to get them in STEM and technology careers. So I did a panel actually about an hour ago. So I had to get all GQ for that, and I was like, well, I might as well leave it on for Flossin. Show up for you guys.
I know that. You look like a Georgia peach. Tell me.
All right. So let me turn these notifications off because they are distracting. So I am Jessica Hartley. I'm the VP of Strategy here at Instrument, and I work with a team of strategists of just about 30 strategists and lead them in supporting strategic engagements with our clients. And I've been here, wow, I guess it's been almost 8 months now. Time flies. Originally from Georgia and relocated from Georgia to come to Portland, which is where we're headquartered. And prior to this was in consulting and doing technology and digital consulting at a very large firm, and got recruited to come to Instrument by some amazing recruiters. And had never heard of Instrument before, but when I checked out the website and had conversations with Justin and JD and a lot of folks, was super impressed. I was just like blown away. And really, I think it was really the human element, right? Like how they take care of their people, care about their people. And I'm seeing that literally manifest. Like, you know how well a company cares about their people in big crises that you did not even plan for. And so it has been tremendous to see how, as soon as stuff shut down with the government, we told everybody to work from home. We set up technology. We said, what else can we get from healthcare to give people online, services and everything. And so just seeing how we're taking care of our people is amazing. And we do a lot of that same care for our clients, which is why a lot of our clients are still with us. And we've still got projects going on, which is great. It's just truly amazing. We're not talking about layoffs at all. We're just taking care of our people, and work is still coming in. So we're very fortunate for that. So happy to be here.
So the tech industry in general is, they're the hot subject right now, right? And you guys consider yourself a tech industry, right? So what kind of work does Instrument do over there?
Absolutely. I like to consider ourselves, I call us tech adjacent, if that makes sense. So, while we're not necessarily building software or building hardware, we are leveraging hardware and software in a lot of our work for clients. Hey, JD, welcome back.
Yeah.
Oh my God, sorry about that.
It's okay. I was also going to comment, you got a new location. Before you were, was that in your kitchen or kitchen? You had all the windows behind you. I've seen most of that.
I turned my desk because the windows are all here and it was like blowing me out. So I had to switch it around.
So go ahead.
I had total luck with technology, internet, everything's been working great so far until just now. So I don't know what's happening, but I feel like we're good now.
Days ago. Yeah.
Well, so, you look clear. You look clear, so that's always a good sign.
That's good.
Not looking fuzzy.
JD, they looking out for you, boy.
So I was just, and you can totally jump in here too, JD. We just got do you want me to pause and let him introduce himself?
Well, there was an order of questions a little bit, but then and then we can come back to that. Why don't you, JD, introduce yourself real quick and who you are and your role at Instrument?
Mm-hmm. So I'm JD Hoagie. I'm the Chief Creative Officer at Instrument and one of the co-founders. I'm originally a designer and came up through design. I was the first designer at Instrument and the first creative director at Instrument. And here we are almost 10 years later, and we have something like 80 designers, and I'm really helping to oversee the business and the sort of creative quality of the client work that we do, and I wear a lot of other hats as well.
Nice. So and then Jessica, I want to come back to this, but for the order, I wanted to kind of come into this when since this is a conversation about how a tech firm, focused on big worldly things, comes into a community and, looks at, getting more involved in that. When you first, I want to look at this question because when you first moved into that neighborhood over there in the Soul District neighborhood, what do you think the neighborhood's perception of you guys coming in was?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I guess first of all, we actually moved into the Soul District neighborhood probably in 2005. We've been in 4 different locations, all in the same in the Soul District.
The northeast.
So yeah, you know, primarily on MLK, and then on Alberta, and then eventually on Williams. So we've been in the area for a really long time. But the building we're in now, in 2015, fall of 2015 is when we moved in. About 2 years before that, we started working on the building, and it was an empty lot at that point. Believe it or not, it's kind of wild to even think about that now. New Seasons was under construction, just going in, and you know, a lot of the other development on Williams that's there now was not even happening yet at all. So when
was on that lot called 1222 or 1221, wasn't it, for?
Yeah,
well, it was gone by that time, but just recently, yeah, it was probably a year after that was demoed, was when we started looking at that site, and we were brought in by the developer as a potential, you know, anchor tenant for the development before they really knew what they were planning to do with it. And they knew that they could just build one giant box and fill it with, but I think the idea between on the development side was to not do that and to try to create sort of a community-oriented space with a courtyard in the center that could be a place for gathering and a place for community events. And so it's not just a big behemoth sort of office tower or apartment building that fills that whole square. So that's why it ended up being 3 different buildings with the courtyard in the middle. The idea was that can we create something that doesn't feel like it's you know, just planted down and taking up space, but is actually integrated into the neighborhood and provides some and actually provides some space for some people in the community to use it, to occupy it, to move through it. I don't think I answered your question at all.
well, the question is, because I wanted to, because you mentioned
What did people
several,
think about it?
Yeah.
because you know, gentrification was kind of running rampant at that time. The Black Lives Matter movement had a hugely loud megaphone. There were a lot of issues like that. So
Yep.
that's why I was like, you know, what did you, you know, you couldn't be absent of that. So what did you think the community's perception to your arrival, even though you'd been in the community, as you just pointed out, how did you perceive that was going to be?
I mean, I would say we thought it would be received in a lot more harsh light than it was, to be honest. I think I went into it pretty with a lot of skepticism in terms of, you know, how it looks and how we might be perceived or received in the neighborhood. Did a lot of research at the time to like really understand what we were walking into. And, you know, for us, it was part of a bigger, like a development. Obviously, we were one part of it. And so there was a small community of people that were working to try to figure out how we can integrate into the community and into the neighborhood in a way that doesn't just feel siloed, like we're just sort of showing up and doing business without making any relationships.
So
anyway,
is that new for you guys? Was this a kind of an evolved climate aspect of yours? Because who was the gal that I met? I loved her, Emily, right?
Emily.
So she was, you had set up.
It wasn't really new because so we built a space on 17th in Alberta in 2009 that we went through the same process of development. It wasn't a wasn't new construction, but it was having an existing space. And we had sort of gone through that process before, as sort of like this, you know, company moving into what had previously been a church and a theater and a historic sort of landmark space for decades. And so we had already kind of gone through something similar, I guess, previously, which at the time that went really well, you know, for us in terms of integrating into that neighborhood, making relationships with all the businesses around us, with a lot of the mostly the business owners in that area. So we had kind of gone through that before a couple of different times.
Well, I liked, all right, so you move in, you're in this space, you take it upon yourself to kind of learn more about it, which is, you know, that it was like one of the hot spots where things were jumping for the Black community back in the day, right?
Yep.
And so now you're occupied and you're on the second floor, right? And so the access to the second floor is by a secured ground floor, right? So
That's right.
how did you emerge from that sort of, you know, what's up there, you know, to much of the community, like,
Yeah.
right? And how did you come down and in?
Yeah, we made a point to reach out to businesses and organizations that were nearby. We made a relationship with the church right next door right away. We made a deal with them to pay them for parking spots when they're not using them, and for them to use our parking spots when on the weekends when they had churchgoers. At the time, Kairos, the school was just getting started, and they were operating out of that church next door. And so we made a relationship with Callie Ladd and the other women who are running Kairos. And we were trying to work something out where we could maybe integrate into with childcare with them. Which didn't end up working out, but then they ended up moving up on Vancouver, and we kind of just stuck with them as partners and you know, supporters of what they've been doing as they've grown and took on a new space and expanded. And that was a really key, like, initial relationship with us to you know, create with you know, local Black female-owned organization with really strong leadership and a really hard problem that they're trying to solve. So we've just been trying to support them ever since. We also let them use our space a lot. You know, they have more board meetings and meetings and things like that in our space. We reached out to the schools nearby. We did a lot of programming with some of the schools, high schools in particular. Benson High School has been a school that we've worked a lot with. We ended up working with Open Signal, which is another local community-oriented program that you all know about. Invited them to come and use our space, invited them to some of their students to come and work with some of our staff and kind of get inspired. We you know, had a bunch of a series of workshops and things like that with them. So we really just try to figure out what can we offer aside from friendship and you know, being good neighbors. Like, what can we actually offer? And it came down to, we can offer our space for events. We can offer our space for meetings and things like that. We can also offer guidance for students and any kind of youth-oriented projects. And, you know, things like Pitch Black was a really good opportunity for us to just, all we have to do is open the space up to these folks, and they can really leverage that. And, you know, so we've just been trying to mostly do those types of things where we can, you know, figure out what we can offer to the neighborhood.
So, and you both can answer this next question then. So I can see how, you know, the space and the place and some of the resources you guys have been um, putting out into the community have helped the community. What do you get from it? What's the benefit back to you?
You want to start? You want to start? You start.
Okay. I really just feel a sense of responsibility to have a relationship with the community and the neighborhood. I feel like, aside from the personal friendships and relationships that I've made with individuals like you all, which I get a lot out of, also just, I guess, just really feeling like you're connected to the community. You're not just commuting in, doing your work and getting out, but you understand the impact that you're having, and you can, benefit, you know, whether it's a school or, a local organization. If we can provide some benefit, it's gratifying to know that, we've built something that can offer resources for those, around us.
Jessica, what are you getting?
Yeah, I'll add to that. I mean, I think for me and for what I've sort of experienced and then what I've seen in the 8 or 9 months that I've been here, there's that saying of, too much is given, to whom much is given, much is expected. And we talked a lot. We started off this sort of our chit chat when it was just you and I, Fawn, talking about the privilege, right, that we have of still having security in our jobs and being able to work from home and feed our family and take care of our children and our loved ones. And that's a privilege, but also, to JD's point, that's a responsibility to give back. And so, I think it's just part of, it's in the DNA of Instrument to share the wealth, if you will, and wealth comes in numerous ways, not just financial. Share that wealth with others. And an important part of that, and what we talked about with Soul District, right, is how do you share that wealth and build a foundation within the community, because we're lifting everyone up. And so that's something that I've seen us get that, whether it's sort of satisfaction or just a bit of also just humbleness, right? We're here to also be served and to be servant leaders in the community. And the other piece, I think, is education. It's been educating. One of the things, bringing in, obviously not just opening up the space, but bringing in guest artists, bringing in local guest speakers, educating our population. I mean, we are an organization in Portland, right? Like any other. And, part of that is just helping to expand minds and horizons. And we've done a lot of that, which makes us better people. Which makes us better coworkers, which makes the work that we do with clients. And this is something that I think a lot of people don't necessarily connect, is the more well-rounded and diverse your workforce is, your people are, and their mindsets are, the better the work that we create for our clients. Our clients are always trying to make that connection between their business products and services and their customers. And the better we are as human beings in bringing that to the work that we do, the better the work and the connections that we build from our clients to our customers. So I think that's something that we've absolutely seen, and what I've seen personally in the last several months.
That makes total sense. That makes total sense.
I was gonna add something too, but I think Jessica basically just said it. Is like, me as a business owner and an employer of, a couple hundred people, we don't know how well educated they are on the neighborhood history or on, the community. Some of them are commuting in from outside. A lot of them actually live in the neighborhood, but so I think that sense of responsibility also extends to them too. Like, I feel like I want them to know about the history of the neighborhood, and to know be more connected, and have a relationship to the neighborhood as well. So that's something that we've worked to model, and then also to sort of communicate to people as something that we want people to do.
So I would say that, especially in, neighborhoods around minority communities, that a lot of tech firms definitely have that climate and culture inside their environment, right?
Mhm.
But the extension of it outside isn't always as prevalent or as demonstrated. So we definitely appreciated it over the Soul District when, we brought the Green Lighting Black Lives Matter Youth Media Project and connected, and between Emily and you, JD, and a number of your staff, they were like, yeah, came and made it a welcoming environment. And then we involved it. So why did you guys decide to stay in it? Why did you decide to get involved in when we brought you the Soul District brand rollout? I know we had kind of seeded that a little bit, but why did you decide to get involved on the level you did?
I think that when I reached out to you at some point, it was sort of like, hello, can I help you somehow? It was really that broad.
Right.
And, I think that I truly just knew sort of about what you all were doing a little bit. But once I dug into it a little bit further, I was really intrigued and just compelled to want to be involved. And then once I got involved, and once you sort of put a couple small things on the table, I rallied other people. And that's when I think it became a little bit more of a bigger project, because when I asked for a raise of hands of who wants to be involved with volunteering to help a local organization that is trying to lift up underrepresented communities in our neighborhood, like a lot of hands go up. And so if I can provide a way for that to connect with them, then I'm going to do that. So I think that was sort of like, that was the impetus for that. I think when we first moved in, this is something I was going to say to you earlier. When we first moved, I think the first 2 years we were in that space, we did volunteer work for like 20 different organizations, and Emily was organizing that. So a very wide range of different types of organizations we were planning and coordinating and getting, setting people up with opportunities. And it was a lot of work for us to do that, but it was something that Emily was passionate about, we were passionate about. And then over the years, we've kind of like streamlined and figured out like, how can we have greater impact through less organizations and sort of be a little bit more focused. So we really narrowed it down to few organizations where we feel like we can have the most immediate and local impact.
And we totally made the cut.
You made the cut. You made the cut.
Thank you. I think, John, you can put yourself on the back. I think he was a little intimidated by you. So, no, I'm just.
Well, I mean, if you want to ask me personally, why did I want to get involved? Like, when I did meet John, there was something about that first meeting that drew me in way more. I think I initiated that meeting like, hey, can I just meet somebody and help somehow? And then when we actually talked, I really was drawn to, the passion, the conviction, the amount of experience, the amount of knowledge, and the optimism from John that just blew me away. And it felt like there was it gave me more reason to want to engage. And he also had a sense of openness and, like I said, optimism about working with basically anyone who is down for the cause. I think the message I got was, I'll work with anyone who's down for the cause and who wants to help me on this journey. I also got a sense that you were sort of moving forward, and that seems to be your MO, is that you were had a reverence and a clear awareness of the past, but you were moving forward. And that felt like an invitation for us to step in and be involved and to be welcome in, you know, some part of your journey. So.
And so Vaughn paid you for that shit.
That was good.
What did you say?
He said that Fawn pay you for that speech. That was great.
Yeah. She's actually wrote that. She's texting it to me on the side, and I'm just saying.
That was good.
Oh,
No, but I just to respond to that. Thank you, man. A lot of times, kind of hard to hear, you know, good feedback from people, man. But you know, one of the things that I find that somehow or another you must have been keeping up with your industry, because the start of your industry got off to a real rocky start. Not just your business, but the technology industry in general. You know, it got off. You know, it was the young, middle-aged, not even young. I mean, middle-aged, young white boy that took the train out the gate in the beginning. And there was so much mitigating stuff that went on with that. I mean, that set precedents in a lot of the gentrification and all of that stuff that we're seeing today. The technology train was the one that was the catalyst to a lot of this, you know, for the young white male. And so, but one of the things that we stepped back and we constantly kept saying is somebody got to pull that train back or hold it at the next gate. Okay, because and you think I make light of this industry as humorous, but it is humorous because it seems like that, because, and this is very symbolic of how we as a society works. We go, okay, the young white cat figures out, comes up with a thought and an idea, innovation, whatever that is, and takes it off the gate and runs into millions of dollars and does all of the things that they do, create their thing. But somewhere along the line on that route, so one thing I always admired about my buddies, my frat buddies, and all that guy, some of the white friends that I got, they'll start drinking that beer and they'll go, whoa-ha, and all that stuff and start pouring it on their head. But then at some point in time, they'll go, hey man, where are all the chicks? You know, it's like, what happened? Why are we partying with each other? So they brought the train back, pick up women, right? And not necessarily in a negative way. I paint this scenario because I think it's a humorous reality to watch how it worked. They came and they said, oh, we don't have no women on this train. You know, we partying amongst us guys now. So they came back and they got women as part of the integration and adjustment. And then at some point in time, they began to recognize that this thing was, at some point in time, it almost looked like it was going to get shut down because it was a 50-50 margin that our society was ready to buy into it. And I'm dating myself, by the way, you know, I remember all this stuff. The society wasn't necessarily ready for technology in the sense that there was a lot of pushback in that margin, you know, in its very first 7 to 10 years of it coming on deck and beginning to get. So our society necessarily wasn't buying into it, but then it started looking at some adjustments, and it started recognizing that in order for it to be a full-blown industry that really, not only Silicon Valley and other places, but it had to start looking at integration and how it began to bring other people into the technology for our society to begin to elevate. I said all of that to say this about you, is that somehow or another, the totality of all of that stuff returned itself, and your organization is an example of what that should have looked like going out of the gate. But today, what it looks like today is really the integration reality of how that thing is supposed to look. You got a staff, you got a representation of the meld that needs to happen in order, because you can't have a great society if you're leaving a portion of it behind. It's not a reality for that. And so my respect, and I say this and I'll continue to say this, you young white guys are to some degree is really the link to the transformation of our society moving in a healthy way that is away from this kind of shit that we're into right now. Is that somehow or another we got to come together on an understanding that our community, our society, our country relies upon our ability to take this shit and integrate all of this stuff to move us to a higher order, a better place. Because the shit that we're experiencing right now, the kind of hurt, the bringing it back, this virus is giving us a reminder of what really we live and exist in. And it is disheartening. You know, man, And for me, I just don't, man, I'm a hunter. I'm a warrior. I'm all of these things. And to not have a battle to go to that I can see to fight other than what we envision or the possibilities of whatever, all of this shit drives me insane, man. I get up and I go walk in the mountains. I go do all of that kind of stuff. But the bottom line is I'm watching how we're getting hurt, how we are getting dismantled. And so then what do you say as a father, as a man in your society, as a contributing ethical aspect? And I mean, so we're in this vein. So how do we begin to use this technology to tighten it up, to bring it together? And so that's why when we're talking today with in this kind of conversation, when Fawn originally told me what she was trying to figure out is to how do we bring technology in this time that we're in now, and the essence of the transformation. It's the essence of it right now. We're able to see, I told my daughter, in spite of the pain that I felt in her and that I felt for her, that we're at the precipice of something very, very interesting. Mm-hmm. Change is coming as much as we want to resist it. But my model is that when you can see it coming, and I tell everybody this about death, about life, any of that shit, if I see it, death coming, I'm going to cheat your ass. Understand me? So the bottom line is, we see some shit coming, so how do we get out in front of it and begin to somehow or another navigate our way in it, and to begin to do this shit the right way, finally? Yeah. And we protect, number one, the sanctuary of our existence, the thing that we require on each other. And I don't want to get too lengthy in my words and then preaching and all that shit, but all I know is Black women raised this country. It raised Black kids and it raised white kids. And we all got one thing in common, is that we got a centralized mother, Mother Earth. And that is our primary reality of what we have to protect today and the people that exist on it. So I'm hoping that somehow or another, to stay out in front of this phenomenon, we stop leaving the old mind on the porch, because like I said, at some point in time, hopefully that virus ain't shutting down our ability to do this, you know? Because if it is, then we're gonna need them old people. We can't let them all die, because they know some shit that most of the young people don't know. You know, how to communicate, how to build a society, all them things, how to plant food, you know, all this stuff. So anyway, without the sake of preaching, I'm just saying how much respect to you, Fawn, whatever, however we got to get out in front of this by using technology to do it, whatever it is, I'm game. You got my both feet in this game right now, because it's been made real clear to me that a society in which we exist in, it ain't something that Flossin has been doing this shit for the last 15 years, trying to bring about the best in the Black community that it could possibly bring forward. And staying in front of that initial mindset that says, look, we got to up our game. We got to take our game to a higher place and to a much more healthier place. So when I see old families dying in Georgia, that was enough for me to trigger me in such a way to where I got real quiet. But let me tell y'all something. When I get quiet, I'm looking for an opening, y'all. And most of the time, I'm existing inside the 20. My nature is all, man, when I get inside that space inside the 20, neither you gonna score or you ain't. And 9 times out of 10, you ain't gonna score on me. You understand? I'm gonna shut your ass down. You come around this side. So I'm in that space of ovulate or opening up the next dimension. And I believe technology, I believe you young white cats and you young sisters, y'all all are part of that equation that should be able to take this thing from a youthful reality to the next bit. Because it's wide open for y'all. We ain't got to carry that shit forward no more, because at this point in time, we already know the truth. Everybody else knows the damn truth. The virus exposed all of that shit for those that were in denial. I'm not in denial. So anyway, I take that and I drink some more tea, and I keep, sitting here pondering, because sooner or later they're going to let me out of this house. And the Lord knows.
I 100% agree with you about technology getting off on the wrong foot and leaving some people behind along the way. Yeah. It's well documented now, and everyone is starting to wake up to the fact that women and minorities were left out or pushed out of the fast-moving rocket ship of Silicon Valley and the innovation world.
Yeah.
And we're in the business of innovation, but we know that the most innovative ideas are not going to happen from, a bunch of the same people from the same place with the same mindset. It's going to come from, a melting pot of ideas that are coming from all different backgrounds, points of view, mindset, experience, etc. So I think the world has an awareness of that now. We've made that step. And I think the big corporations are starting to show up and make decisions and kind of be held accountable to becoming more inclusive and to representing in a way that having a staff and a workforce that represents what the general population looks like. And I think that we have been vocal advocates of trying to cultivate diverse points of view just so that we can be innovative, because it feels like that's a responsibility of ours, but it's also a way to do our job better, just straight up. And I feel, like the TED Talk that I did last year was really all about this, and it was really all about becoming aware, becoming educated, understanding the things, the blind spots that we've had in the past, and then educating others and building platforms and systems for people to, for our industry to embrace knowledge from all over the place, not just sort of hiring the same person over and over and over, but to bring in multiple points of view. And then to try to, our mission is really to try to shape a better way of living using technology. We feel like the best businesses are profitable because they solve problems that shape a better way of living for everyone. And when businesses are only out to benefit the 1% or benefit themselves and their shareholders, then they're missing the boat, and it's a short-term thinking, and it's not going to last. So we've been vocal about this. I mean, when we do our sales pitch, we tell our clients, we are looking for clients who are going to make positive contributions to society, that are going to solve problems, that shape a better way of living. That's the kind of work we want to do. Fortunately, we're in a place where we can be selective and picky with who we work with. And so that's kind of like our North Star. It's our number one job, is to pick clients that we believe in and go on the journey with them. And then hopefully we can be more educated than them even on the subject matter, so that when we identify something that seems questionable, or when we identify an opportunity for them to be more inclusive, or to think about more points of view, or to, think about how their product or their service is going to impact all types of people, then we interject that point of view, and we're really direct and honest with them. We're not just telling them what they want to hear. So it's really deeply baked into not just the culture outside of our job, but actually in the work that we're doing. Like, that's really a part of our mission and a part of our sales pitch even. So it really goes that deep. It's about driving impact, and really trying to shape a better way of living for people. When we feel like when we have a positive impact on the lives of people and the well-being of people, that motivates our employees. And it creates businesses that are profitable in the end. So that's kind of what we're focusing
So, so let me ask you guys this: is that where do you see our next push or next? What does the products look like that the future of where technology is going in light of the condition in which has been thrust forward? Where you guys see the next direction in taking this? How do we build upon this technology reality in terms of now? Because now we have a fragmentation, a void, okay? And that void has put us all in our prospective camps. It used to be a time perhaps when we had enough opportunity to interact and to touch, feel, and experience and those types of things. So now that we're at this, okay, everybody go to their prospective corners, where technology to some degree was trying to deal with my perception at that time of the possibility of technology creating an isolation. People being in silos, being able to having to isolate, these kinds of things. So how do we see where this is going? I mean, in your field, what is it that how do you begin to use technology as a way to begin to not necessarily separate people? I mean, even though we have to go to our prospective corners for a second and isolate, how does the technology begin to do exactly opposite of what it was intended to do, or what it appeared what its intention was doing, and that was isolating us, siloing us? But how is technology going to do the opposite at this point in time, and where do you guys see the opening?
I mean, I'll let Jessica answer, but my quick answer is, I feel like instead of technology, technology is supposed to be this thing that makes our lives better, makes things more convenient. But, a lot of people historically have been focused on organizing your family photos or making it easier to get to the, San Francisco Giants game, because they're thinking about the things that it's right in front of them. But I think when we actually use technology and we really think about who really needs it, not just how can it make my life a little bit more convenient, but how can we actually change lives for people? I think that's the next step. Like someone like Tyrone Poole. I don't know if you know Tyrone. He's from Portland. He spoke at TEDx Portland, I think 2 years ago.
Is he Energy Trust of Oregon? Is that him?
He started an app called noappfee.com, and it's really disrupted the housing market. It is basically allowing a way for homeless folks to find a place to live and to jump through all the bureaucratic red tape that was in the way, that was making that really, really difficult. That first step of transitioning from homeless to having an apartment. And he was homeless himself at one point. And, he created this incredible platform, bootstrapped on his own, and, allowing people at every income level, who are seeking an apartment to find one. And it seems so simple. It seems like something that the city or the federal government could have figured out, but it actually wasn't, because it's not a priority. And so I think, when he got in and figured out how to make some software to do this, he's really savvy. He's really smart with marketing. It turns out he's a genius, and he was able to do this. So I think that's like a great example of someone and an opportunity, and there are thousands of these out there, where people really need technology. It's not just that it can make, someone who's already privileged and already, I could go to Whole Foods and get my groceries, but now I can order them and I don't even have to go there. Oh, great. But maybe I should just go there and like save the technology for someone who actually needs it.
Yeah, exactly. I could use the walk, right? Yeah.
Yeah. anyway, so that's my first
Right.
thought about that.
I guess from my perspective, I'll probably maybe go bigger. Some of the things I've been thinking about, just in our industry, and then just watching everything, like the millions of people out of work more than ever, like in history ever, right? And companies folding and going under and asking for bailouts and all that kind of stuff. I mean, what I'm sort of seeing, or I think is going to happen, I think one, to your point, John, I think there's going to be more integration and coordination. Everything feels, we know everything's been siloed because everything's been driven by money. I've got my little piece over here. I'm going to own my own little piece. I don't need to talk to anybody else. I don't need to coordinate with anything. And we're finding that that is just failing us completely. So I think with the crash of the market, we're going to see a lot more consolidation, and it's going to be like different services and things that make sense to us as like regular people, and like, why doesn't this work together? I think we're going to see a lot of more things working for the smart ones, the people who are smart, either with their heads or with their wallets. We'll see a lot more integration and coordination, and it like everything being connected. I think it's going to be a lot more of like, we see these futuristic videos of talk to your watch, that talks to your computer, that talks to your phone, we're going to see more technologies and software that's going to democratize, where people are going to be able to connect on platforms, and that stuff's just going to be open source. Like Apple can't just own it, Google can't just own it. And I really think that like our lives, this is, I've used the word before, like tectonic shift. Like this is going to be one of the singular most events in this, probably maybe even this century. We don't know what's coming, at least for right now, to this day, one of the singular events that leapfrog everybody. It's not, and everybody, and yes, there's still people getting left behind, the homeless, undocumented workers, but it is leapfrogging everything in terms of how we literally see the world and how we interact. And what I think that will ultimately do is, maybe not right now, but at some point, technology is going to get cheaper. I just believe that things are going to just get cheaper. We saw it happen with cell phones. Yes, everybody's paying $1,000 for the iPhone, but I can now go get a phone from Walmart for $20 and pay $5 a month, right? So you've seen in the span of really only 20 years. I mean, I had a Nokia back in high school and college, and all you could do was dial. We didn't even have voicemail back then. You just dialed, right? And look at where we are today, where we have computers in our phones, but also even the most disadvantaged of us, God willing, they can scrape something together to get themselves a phone. It might not do much, but it's still there. If you look at the proliferation of laptops and tablets, where it used to be you only bought this desktop with this big thing, and that was $3,000, and you were on payment plans for forever. And now we have Google. My son has a Google Chromebook. It was $150, right? And it does what he needs to do. I see technology getting cheaper, and more underprivileged people being able to leverage that cheaper technology to have more impact and have a bigger voice and have a more say. That was a lot, but.
Well, Jessica, also, could you answer why when JD kind of put out the call for raise the hands, why you said yes?
Yeah, I think my hand is kind of like permanently raised for things. My husband, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were like, I was like, yeah, I raised my hand. They were like, but don't you always raise your hand? Wherever I go, whether it's the organization or a new city, I am all about how, and I think JD said this before, like, I am all about leaving where I am and where I'm planted better than when I came, right? Whatever that may be. And whether that's empowering the people, whether that's improving the work, right? Business. So it's not just all about the touchy-feely. I'm trying to make Instrument a stronger business as well. And then part of that is how we're impacting the community. And so when JD when I started, and whenever this came out in the fall, and JD was like, hey, looking for people, I literally sent him a message like, I'm all in, let me know how I can help. And one of the things that was really compelling for me, and JD said this, was, you are one organization that is literally infused in supporting multiple organizations in the community, and that also becomes that has a lot more impact. The one-on-one, I think, is still really important in certain instances, but the fact that you guys are really part of the foundation of the community where we work, and where a lot of us live, I think was really, there was something powerful about that in the story of the Soul District. So that's why I've been here.
So let's transition a little bit to the story of the Soul District, because we kind of laid it down, but it was a story that was told to us too. Like, we weren't the creators of the story. We were the, we were also the readers, the listeners. We were told the stories too, and brought it forward. But we did see a community opportunity, a community challenge, a community need, so to speak, to bring this brand to the next level. And obviously you guys do a lot of digital marketing and branding, and at a level, at just a whole nother level for, the 1%er type companies. But this particular project, helping us with the pitch deck, helping us shape the visual aspect of how that story would roll out, was so helpful and impactful for us, and it's ongoing. Can you speak to a little bit about why sometimes technology, firms have a lot of skill in technology, and maybe why a company like yours said, yeah, I'm going to use those skills in technology for the community? And has it been historically that tech companies really don't do that, and they just stay focused on their clients? Or are you seeing a trend in tech where maybe they are? I mean, you just said that you think that's where it's going, both of you, absolutely.
Yeah.
But where it came from, it seemed like and John mentioned it earlier, there were two subjects that seemed sort of elitist when they first came on deck. One was the green movement. Like, everybody likes clean air, clean water, clean all that kind of stuff. But all of a sudden it became this issue, and it seemed like it was an elitist perspective to recycle and that kind of stuff. And then technology came, and maybe it was an elitist community in which, yeah, that's cool technology, we'll never afford it, we'll never get it, etc. But now I'm saying you're helping a community-based organization solve a community challenge or elevate, because it's more about elevate a platform where the voice that had always existed now gets the next level platform that it would need to compete with the other megaphones and deep pockets out there.
Yeah.
Is there a question in there, or more just comments to the commentary I just said?
Well, I'll start this one since JD took the last one, and then he can pop in. I mean, I think technology, just as a whole, as we think about high tech, the Googles, Facebooks, all of these, and they are also clients of ours, right? So these big clients, it has been an evolution of being sort of singularly focused on producing great products and just taking care of their people and being very focused, right, on money. And as they have evolved, they have, a lot of these tech companies have big foundations worth millions and hundreds of millions, billions of dollars, right? They're giving back to a lot of their communities. I think the advantage that we have as Instrument is that we are not this big conglomerate. So while money is extremely helpful and opens a lot of doors, right, for us, it is about the knowledge and expertise that we have that we can leverage. Like, that's our currency, is the knowledge, the experience, and the expertise. And the only way you can do that is by getting, in bed one-on-one, like we are together, and making that personal connection, right? And I think I at least believe we have a greater impact by sitting, and it's what we do with our clients with this, which is sit side by side with our clients to co-create the future. That is what we're doing here, and what we do with a lot of our other partners. So to me, that is a bigger impact. I wish I had $1 million to give you, but we don't. But hopefully the brain space and knowledge and expertise that we're given can help you get that $1 million, right? And also give you a foundation that will pay dividends in the future. And I think that's what's also important here for us as well.
Right. And I think, and JD, you can jump in after this. So John and I were talking today about the, sort of the end user, like why we do what we do. It is, and it's same with you. It's not necessarily so the already entitled and the secure and foundational person can carry on, although those relationships are important to have because you need to be influential there. It was, that young kid who's sitting in an apartment right now with 3 siblings all sharing a bedroom and struggling maybe to get, that $10 a month internet, access, and the Chromebook, that was dropped off by a school to stay motivated. And it's like, why is the conversations we're having and the work we're doing around the Soul District Business Association's brand rollout and giving a district identity to the Black community from a touchstone perspective, what's that kid in that room going to feel capable, significant, and influential about when he's invited into this dialogue somehow, or invited into the imagery that we're creating?
I think that, like Jessica said, we, just like what we do with our clients, we work side by side with them to try to amplify, enhance, bring to life their ideas and their, usually it's their vision, it's their idea, and we sort of, connect ourselves with that, connect with them, and sort of provide, become like an extension of them to amplify their voice, their vision. And I think it's the same with you all. You all have the ideas. You all have the mission, the purpose, the vision. And we saw those ingredients there, and we felt we could amplify that. We could help to connect with your audience, to make it resonate more deeply, more profoundly, just with some editing and some tweaks of language and imagery and the juxtaposition and how we're structuring the narrative together to have the greatest impact. So we're really just trying to, elevate your voice for the greatest impact possible with your audience.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna and even build off of that to the point about the young person, right? I think it is also to shine a light on, how amazing the Soul District is, and to shine a light on businesses, well, probably pre-COVID, God willing, how business are thriving, and that the Soul District is an amazing place to live and work, right? And to to what JD was saying about John's point about moving forward, being excited about the future of what's to come for Soul District, and feeling as if they are part of that future for Soul District as well, right?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I mean, I know for me personally, I didn't come from money. I didn't come from a position where it was inevitable that I would be some kind of successful entrepreneur at all. I worked 12 jobs before I ever got a real job or some kind of job that was going to, I could actually make a living out of. I didn't see that happening when I was young. I've lived in Portland for almost 20 years on the east side. My imagination is really huge in terms of the opportunity that I see for other people to rise up and do something great. Maybe only, if only because, I was able to do something with, what I was given. And if you look at me as a teenager, it was not a foregone conclusion that I would be some kind of successful entrepreneur by any stretch of the imagination. So I was lucky that they let me leave the state of Kansas on parole when I moved to Wisconsin when I was 17. So
Wow.
Getting in trouble there, JD, just a little bit.
Kansas.
I'm just being real. Like there was, I got out of the situation I was in, but I'm being real though. I definitely was not, you know, I guess my point is not about me, but it's really about how my imagination is really big for how I can see opportunity for other people. And I can see someone, you know, like Tyrone is a perfect example. His story is incredible. And talking about literally going from being homeless to creating a successful technology startup that helps all these, helps so many people. You know, it's stories like that, I think, that people need to hear. And I think that you all are sort of, you know, looking for those people and saying, hey, we're here to support you. We're here to lift up your voice and give you an opportunity. And, you know, the more I can help to sort of elevate that platform and enhance, get that story out and get those messages out, the better. So that's why I'm involved in it.
Yeah. I'm just amazed at these types of pieces that we do. They've always tapped my heart, you know, and perhaps for me, I don't know what it is about a feeling. Feelings are new to me these days. I mean, as an older guy, you know, I was a soldier, warrior, all that kind of stuff, and feelings are different. But I've come to realize that you have to have compassion. Something, you know, there's a stencil that we use in Flossin, and it talks about how a person arrives and then they go into the gauntlet of their lives. They get into the agitation. The hopper is what I call it. They go through this life experience thing. They just jump in, just gets all screwed up, it's shaking up and all that kind of shit. And then something spits you out the other end. You either got a jail ID, or you got a college degree, or you make it to the league, or you do this, or something spits you out, you arrive. And then through that gauntlet, you have refined enough to arrive to a place. And in that place, you know, you have to know one thing, and you can't keep it if you don't give it away. And these are some of the magical keys that people don't get necessarily. And for me, there was a lot of obstacles in that place because I always thought kindness was a weakness. I always thought compassion was a sign of weakness, and those types of things. But yet when I saw it in my father that way, I resented it, but yet I didn't know his whole story. I didn't know his story. I didn't know he was a POW until he was on his deathbed for 6 months in a Korean war camp, where he never took his boots off for 4 months. And they actually became an integral part of his feet. So when he came home, he made it home. He was a wounded POW. He made it home. And it seemed like he was nice to everybody. And he was a happy drunk. And I would see people take advantage of him and all of that. And in my book, I kept seeing my father as weak. But here to tell you that if I was in a POW camp for 4 months, I don't think I would have made it home, you know, because I'm not the type. But he was strong enough to make it home because that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to come back home. Strength like that is a substance that you can't bottle. You can't bottle that kind of strength. But the challenge is that sometimes the world puts us in as a people, as a vessel, as a character. It is something in that individual that creates that rise. I call it resurrection. The interpretation of understanding of what that portion of that meant was the simple stencil that I just told you about. This Jesus character went through all of this agitation, only to die on a cross to resurrect, which to me only means one thing, y'all. Stand up. Stand up. Damn it. And you stand up. And the fact of the symbolism of my father keeping his boots on that whole time meant that he never gave up hope that there may be an opening somewhere that he can run. And to be caught one night without his boots on, that boot for that opening to come, for him to be bootless, he probably would have never made it with bad feet, because he came home with bad feet, but he would have never made it. So the point that I'm saying is that the cream or the vessel or the character in man is like the diamond. It's placed under pressure, and some of us stay down, and other ones of us rise up.
Said. Well said. It's a powerful message.
John preaching.
Well, thank you for that, John.
But then my consciousness comes to bear. And there she is. You know?
I love it. I'm listening. I'm absorbing. I'm taking it.
But she falls, I'll tell you, but she'll say, okay, but John, let's get back to the work at hand.
Well,
And I do have 5 minutes. I have a 2:30, so I do have a 2:30.
so I think, I have what I need in terms of the story, and we're, just the conversation around, how technology firms are helping community-based organizations solve problems. I'm not sure that that's running rampant in your guys' industry right now, but I think as an example of what we've been able to do together, and we very appreciate what you guys have done, and we very appreciate your perspective on why you've done it and shared with us today. I think us even being able to share that message with others is also another powerful move, because if we just keep that story amongst ourselves, then yeah, we benefit, but how are we inspiring others to follow suit, right? Because we're always blazing a trail. So I'm hoping that this story can be, the beginning of more technology firms, getting on this train, and as you guys both said, make this big world a little bit more connected.
Yeah.
In healthy ways.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
All of what she said. All of what she said, folks. Hey, Hodge, sister, Jessica. Hey, man, much love and much respect to y'all.
Thank you.
There's no doubt in my mind that the real soldiers are going to stand up. And I hear T.D. Jakes say this on Easter. T.D. say, at the end of what he said, he say, "What say ye? What say you?" And the invitation to this greatness or this opportunity in life is upon you. The invitation is at your doorstep. It's in your mailbox. What say ye? What say ye? What's your contribution? So
I think we're supposed to say aye.
Say aye. Yay.
Are you on board? Aye. Aye, Captain.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Thank you so
See y'all
much.
soon.
Again.
Thank you so much. Y'all stay safe out there, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, you too.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Bye, Jad. Bye, Flying.